What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm back with, I got my Goonies t-shirt on today in honor of the Enhanced Carnivore. Big shout out to you for making a video for me to make a response to. For some reason, no one seems to be interested in that video today, yesterday. I don't know why that is. You should check it out. It's pretty funny. I think it's not interesting because, as it turns out, there's a lot. I've actually been shocked. I just woke up, so I'm looking rough again. I've been shocked, really, at how many people who, in my comment section, are apparently either on the carnivore diet, some version of the keto diet. I'm beginning to think, again, I mentioned this in a previous video, I'm beginning to think that there's something political going on here. I'm beginning to think that the carnivore diet is like the political equivalent of rolling coal. You know, we were reading about that when Tesla started hitting the streets, and it was just automatically assumed that if a person was driving a Tesla, they were probably a libtard, and they were all like pro-environmental BS. And so you had these guys in the big, like, super duty trucks like I used to have, although mine was not diesel, rolling coal on the highway, just blowing black smoke all over the Teslas. It seems to me that there's an element of that going on, because I have a very right-wing audience, and I can definitely see how, if you've got like vegans and pescatarians and, you know, all the plant-eating hippie libtards on one side, that the obvious opposition to that would be like, no, we're gonna eat animals and meat and fat and bacon and in America. And that's all cool and everything, but it's still a shit diet. Eventually everybody's gonna figure out, diet is kind of like politics. Like, you can't have the entire political spectrum controlled by a bunch of progressive libtard idiots, and you also can't have it controlled by a bunch of tight-ass Christian, anti-porn, anti-abortion, anti-have any fun in life tight asses. You can't have that. You need something in the middle, and or you know, whatever you want to be, like middle right, you know, whatever, because nobody believes there really is a middle. There is, and that's with the diet thing. So, like, I represent the, and it's crazy, you know, I apparently represent the middle of the diet, where I'm like one of these crazy people who's just like, I don't know, maybe it'd be a good idea to have like some protein, carbs, and fat. Like, I don't know why we have to go extreme, like, no meat at all. And then on the other side, it's like, no carbs, no vegetables. Like, shut up, dude. You're not, neither one of you groups of people feel better. You're so full of shit. Everybody's got so much confirmation bias. Oh, bro, I can't tell you, man, I've been on carnivore for 3 years, and I feel so much better. And it's like, yeah, but dude, you've got vegan people screaming the same thing. And I think that ultimately what will be proven out long-term is that neither of these diets are sustainable. And if you're long-term vegan or long-term carnivore, your micronutrient, you know, you're not going to be firing on all cylinders long-term. It's just not going to happen. And that's why we're omnivores. That's why the human animal, when I was reading yesterday about, you know, refuting the claim that the Enhanced Carnivore made that we evolved to be on the carnivore diet. No, we didn't. It's completely clear throughout all of human history that we're omnivores. The reason the human animal is so successful is because we're the most opportunistic of creatures on Earth. We can find a way to live in caves, in the snow, in the Sahara Desert, in an arboreal forest. We can live on a boat in the ocean. It doesn't matter. The human animal's ingenuity is unrivaled in the animal kingdom. We will find a way. And so, you know, your diet is mainly going to reflect whatever is easy to get around you, which is why my diet is high in processed foods, because my wife just orders me a bunch of crap from Walmart. So boom, there you go. If I lived in Miami, we'd probably eat a lot more fish. If I lived in Mexico, we'd probably eat a lot more tortillas and beans and you know, carne asada and shit. So it's just going to be relative to where you live. That's primarily what the vast majority of people in that area are going to eat. Some people have turned food into, like, apparently a political statement. And hey, good for you guys. That's the thing I've been saying all along. The key point that I've been making all along is, if you want to be carnivore, cool. Do whatever. Just don't tell me I should. Don't tell me it's the better diet. If you want to be vegan, cool, go be vegan. Just don't tell me I should. It's not the better diet. It's the same thing with everybody else. The diet thing for me is the same as everything else. Believe whatever you want to believe. F whoever you want to F. Do whatever you want. Leave me out of it. Okay? If you're a boy, you want to be called a girl, that's cool. I'm just not playing along. If you're carnivore diet, that's cool. Just don't tell me that eating carbs is bad for my health because you've convinced yourself of that. Just like don't tell me I'm going to hell because I don't believe in Christ. Okay? Stop it with that. Leave everybody alone and we'll all be better off. Because the reality is that as I'm about to present in this video, everybody's individual health is totally different, and what you think you know about yours doesn't have F all to do with mine. So today what we're talking about, and I may connect these two topics, today what we're actually talking about is the fact that for the last week or so, I have been on the first cut and I cannot remember when. This is like an intentional cut. So the closest thing I've come to cutting in like the last maybe 3+ years is when we went traveling and my calories were reduced relative to bulking at home, but I was absolutely not trying to have that occur. When we were on the road traveling, I was still trying to consume as many calories as humanly possible. I still was consuming a large quantity of calories. I will put some pictures up in this video of what I look like, probably right up here, what I look like while we were traveling. This picture you're looking at here is me in a hotel room. I believe this was in, where did we stay in Colorado? On our last trip? Flagstaff? No, what was that little town we stayed in?
I don't know how to set.
You remember? Where you lost the keys?
Oh, that was in Flagstaff, Arizona.
It was in Flagstaff. We found this cool little hotel. It had like used to have been a motel, and they turned it into a cool ass hotel with nice pool and all kinds of like little fun games and stuff for the kids to play. It was really cool. And I think, you know what? I think I'm lying. I think that picture I took, now that I mention it, was in when we stayed in Teton. Anyway, you can see that my abs are peeled, but I do have the flatter look. Like I'm not as puffy in my upper body because we were burning a lot of calories. That's the thing. Living in tents and traveling for 66 consecutive days, hiking, we were just blowing and going. Every single day we got up, we started getting some, breakfast in. My wife would make some kind of solid breakfast, and then we were on the road traveling to national parks, state parks, touring cities, doing hiking, chasing down animals to take pictures of. Like we were living the life, fly fishing, building tents, cutting firewood, hunting, like we were doing it. And so I was that picture that I showed you may still be up on the screen. This is what I look like, basically eating whatever I can get my hands on while staying very active. And so one of the things that I thought was funny, again, to go back to the enhanced carnivore diet that I forgot to touch on in his video, was he tried to make the claim, he tried to come at me for basically saying that skinny people are as big a losers as fat people. Like fat people can't stop shoveling stuff into their face. Meanwhile, I have to take MK677 in order to be a bodybuilder. And it's like, nice try, dude. Nice try. Like, I see where you tried to put together some logic there, but as you can see from the picture you're looking at, there's a stark difference between somebody like me who struggles to get their body to be substantially bigger than what is natural for them, but when they're not using a drug like MK677 as an appetite stimulus, and they still eat whatever they want, they make no effort at counting calories or cutting carbs or cutting fats, when you can look like this versus some obese slob who cannot stop putting food into their face, that is not even remotely an equitable comparison there. Now, if you want to talk about me when I was 120 pounds cracked out on Adderall, yeah, that guy's a loser. The guy that's cracked out on Adderall, weighs 125 pounds soaking wet, is as big of a loser as the obese person who cannot stop shoveling food into their face. Me, au natural, is the definition of perfection. This body that I keep showing you is the definition of perfection. This is what I looked like when I had not trained in 60 days. I was not being able to stay on a consistent calorie diet. I was eating lots of processed foods, lots of tons and tons of fast food. When we were traveling, the volume of fast food, restaurant food we ate was insane. And then when I wasn't even eating restaurant food, I was eating ramen noodle soups with sliced up summer sausage in it, refried beans, like lots of super processed, high fat, high carb, tons of Dr. Peppers and carb matrices with dextrose. Like the diet that I ate while traveling is about as far away from a smart diet as you can get, and yet I look like I'm carved out of stone. So this is the example of somebody with elite natural genetics that can look like that while making absolutely no effort at all. So no, I don't think I'm a loser because I have to take MK677 to go from this body to the bloated, fat face, 215 pound body that's trying to push well beyond my genetic potential, well beyond the kind of tissue my body wants to hold. Which brings us to the actual point of this cut now at 11 minutes and 14 seconds in. I may have to timestamp this one. So when I decided to cut, the reason for that is because I had, two things I have to admit. After the last, 8 consecutive months of listening to all the people on YouTube tell me what a fat face I have, my dad told me my face was getting so round and puffy that it looked like it was a pimple that was getting ready to burst. Somebody commented on one of my videos that I shot. I think it was I ran Trenbolone for a year and this is what happened. And they made a bunch of comments about how much better I looked in that state. And so I've been making the claim for going on the past year that the reason for my fat, bloated face was twofold. It was that I have high estrogen and that from all the experimentation, like mint and stuff like that, and that it's because I'm eating a gigantic amount of carbs every day, and so I'm obviously that's just going to push fat and water and bloat into your face and all over. And so really the motivation was just to prove all of you wrong, to just prove that this is transient. My face is not. My face is only round like this because of the diet and all the things that I'm doing to try to push my body to the maximum weight I've ever been able to get to. So the high weight now is 218 pounds. I have never eclipsed that. And when I started my cut, I was at 214 in the evening. 214 in the evening. So I am now down to 209.8 in the evening, although that fluctuates obviously depending on how recently I drank a bunch of fluids or whatever, but we're hovering around the 209.8 to 210 range. So I'm down about 4 pounds in about a week or so. Obviously, that's not body fat, although my midsection does appear to be sucking up. I'm sure that's primarily water. It's probably less food in my colon just from a lower caloric intake. But I have started to lose some weight and I have started to tighten up my midsection. Just so you know, because somebody's going to ask and I'm not going to have an answer, I have not been for some period of time now in a calorie counting state, and I know that's not ideal, and it's certainly not how I would coach anybody else to approach this game. But when I went on blast this last time when I was up over 2 grams of gear, the objective was to just absolutely eat as many calories as I could shovel into my face every day, and so basically what I was trying to track was my protein, and that was it. And so a couple of times I kind of rough estimated what I was eating, and I was around 4,500 calories per day. So that's about where I was at, give or take. And again, to say 4,500 calories a day is very misleading. That number could swing 500 calories a day very easily, just for a variety of factors. So what is relevant, and one of the things that I'm just now kind of figuring out, is that my wife and I both have a really bad habit of when we go from bulking to cutting, we end up crash dieting. Every single time we try to cut, we end up crash dieting. And I think I figured out last night the reason for that is that I have never truly gone from bulking to cutting, nor has my wife. So bulking means that you're actively gaining weight. So when I was bulking, I was gaining from my last bulk. I started at like 207 and got up to 218, and then fell back down to about 216. So around 10 pounds is what I was able to put on, not all muscle. So when I was actively seeing the scale going up, I was persistently eating either the same or more calories every day, trying to get the scale to progressively climb. Whenever I decide to cut, it's actually always when what's effectively happened by nature is that I have gone into a maintenance mode. Every single time I try to cut, it's not like I've never gone from a state of like, oh, I gained a pound this week, I gained a pound and a half the next week, oh, there goes another pound, okay, I think I'll cut. If I was to cut while actually gaining weight, then what that would mean is that at the time I decided to cut, I was actively in a calorie surplus because I had been gaining weight. If my weight was going up, then we would know that I was in a caloric surplus because my weight's increasing. What happens, in fact, is that my weight stagnates. I imagine that I'm still bulking because I'm still eating what is a gigantic number of calories for me, but I have ceased gaining any weight at all. I'm not putting on any fat, I'm not putting on any muscle, the scale is dead set at whatever number it's at. So for example, when I started this cut, the scale was pretty much dead on 214. You know, give or take a pound, I was hovering around 214 every single night. And I imagined myself to be bulking. Well, clearly I wasn't bulking, because if I had been bulking, the scale would not have stuck at 214 for an extended period of time. So what that means is I had raised my calories to a point where I was gaining weight, and then I got to a weight that required me to intake more calories to continue to grow. I failed to eat enough calories to continue to grow, and so what I was actually doing was eating maintenance calories. So for however many weeks I was stuck at 214, the number of calories, whatever number you want to call it, let's just call it 4,500. That was maintenance calories for me on that dose of androgens, that amount of weightlifting, you know, all of those variables, because I was not gaining and I was not losing weight. So typically the mistake I make is I go, oh, okay, I'm in a bulk. So I'm in a 500 calorie surplus. Now I want to go into a cut. So I need to be in a 500 calorie deficit. And so I take 1,000 calories out of my diet. And then I can't figure out why my gym workouts are suffering, while I'm getting dizzy, I got no energy, I feel like shit, I'm shedding body weight rapidly, my strength is deteriorating. And the reason is because I went from being in maintenance to jumped into a 1,000 calorie deficit because I lied to myself and said that I was in a surplus. So I had been stuck at 214 pounds for weeks, and then so all I really needed to do was take out one meal. That's what I needed to do. I needed to take 500 calories out of my diet, which is about one meal. It's really less than a meal. So, but I didn't do that because I imagined that in order to start cutting, I was going to need substantially fewer calories than I was currently eating because I was laboring under the delusion that I was bulking. So when I first started cutting, I was all on myself. I usually eat 2 honey buns every night during the night. I took my honey buns out, there went 500 calories. I took 2 meals out of my diet, there goes another, 1,000 calories. I started cutting back on various different things, started focusing on protein. Whenever my wife would make the meals that I was eating, rather than eating like, 3/4 of a cup of uncooked rice, which is about 2.5 servings, I think. A serving of white rice is a half a cup uncooked. So it's a serving and a half. So instead of eating a serving and a half of white rice plus, 4 ounces of beef, for example, I would eat like half a cup of white rice. So everything was dialed back. So I dialed back all the carbs and fats in the meals that I was eating, and then took 2 meals out plus some of the extras like the ice cream and all of the stuff that I was eating. So I inadvertently took a gigantic amount of calories out of my diet very rapidly, and I was feeling horrific. This cut started, and honestly I was nervous because I talk all this shit about how easy it is for me to lose weight. I don't really have to try to cut. All I have to do is just stop bulking, and I will cut by nature. And every time my wife and we end up sick and you know, and emaciated and losing strength in the gym and hating our workouts and not having energy around the house, because every single time we try to cut, we just go too far. And so about halfway in last week, I was at the gym, and I think I was doing chest, and I had nothing. Like I was so depleted. I was like, this is unsustainable. How can I be half a week into a cut and feel this badly? And it wasn't until last night, actually, which is what preceded the making of this video, that I started going over my calories and going over what I was doing and realizing, like, oh my God, dude, you can't take this number of calories out. When I start cutting, I want to see unrealistic things happen on the scale. I want to see a pound of body weight disappear every single day from the scale. That's what I want to see. As stupid as that is to want, that is what I want. And one of the ways that I sell myself that it's okay is I say, well, of course you're not losing a pound of body weight a day. Like you're not losing a pound of fat a day. But if you reduce the amount of food in your colon, and you reduce water, and you reduce some fat, you know, and let's hurry. It's everything with me is like hurry up and get there. So I want to get down to 6 visible abs, just walking around, nice and peeled and shredded for the fall. This is my favorite time of year in Texas. If I still had a boat, I'd be on the lake every single day. The fall in Texas is my time of the year. I've been dealing with the stifling heat all summer. The crisp, cool air comes back. You guys are probably going to see a lot more of those walk and talk videos where I'm out walking in my neighborhood, especially because I'm cutting, so that'll give me a good excuse to go get some extra steps in and record a little content. So thus far, the cut is going better than expected in one way, in the sense that I've had absolutely no issue massively slashing the number of calories that I was eating, but it's going very poorly in the sense of how sustainable and you know, productive is my approach. So, and this is gonna make you guys hate me even more, because you're gonna get to watch what happens. So another thing worth mentioning before I forget. This is like the highlight of the video as far as I'm concerned. So you'll know. Oh, maybe I want to save this for another video. I will save this for another video. So what you guys are about to watch is me going to a true cutting phase. I have dedicated myself to really trying to get lean this time and not worry about the number on the scale. And I'm going to try. I have made an effort at this multiple times in the past and failed. This morning, or I guess last night, when I'm going to bed and I get on the scale and it reads 209.8, that is a panic moment for me. On the one hand, it's good because it means I'm in a deficit. So I was at 214 at night. I'm down to 209.8 at night. At the end of about a week, this is progress. But seeing my total body weight fall below 210 is like this panic-inducing moment for me. 210 is the minimum I ever want to weigh for the rest of my life while staying in this conditioning. And so that's what I really had hoped, is that I could push my body weight up to the point that when I cut, I would cut down to 210. I'm afraid that at a maximum, I'm going to cut down to 207, 205, possibly lower. I'm possibly going to be closer to 200 pounds when I get as lean as I want to get. I hope that's not the case, but we'll see. Right now, my abs are looking very good at 209.8 in the evening. So what I have done to try to get better workouts, because that's the name of the game too. Like, on the one hand, you can cut calories, because it is, despite what people keep trying to argue with me, calories in, calories out. There's no avoiding this fact. And every time you guys try to argue it, I'm just gonna make another video and show you how fucking stupid you are. You cannot escape calories in, calories out, because you cannot violate the laws of thermodynamics. Some of you keep making the comment that the laws of thermodynamics debunk the theory of evolution. I'm probably going to make an entire video about this. You guys really need to stop saying this. Every time you say this, you look like total idiots. It's really embarrassing. Don't say that, okay? Go do a little research. Research what the second law of thermodynamics actually says. Pay close attention to the words and then try to ask yourself, what is the difference between Earth and the universe? Okay, this is a logic problem. Most of you will fail this problem. Any of you who think that the second law of thermodynamics prevents evolution doesn't understand the difference between Earth and the universe. Okay, that's your homework assignment for some of you who want to make this point. I would love for someone to make a video trying to sell this so that I can bash you to pieces. So, calories in, calories out is all that matters. And I got sidetracked because I could see the comment right here in my face. 1888 Chad, 1888 Chad, 8881. You done some time, Chad? Have you been to prison, brother? I'm seeing some numbers in this email, this YouTube heading that make me think of some old days in the big house. Nevertheless, so what I'm going to be doing is actually increasing my carbohydrate intake above what I have been at. So I'm probably going to be cutting. My cutting calories are probably going to be. I'm probably going to get down to about 3,800 calories. That's where we're probably going to start this cut, is about 3,800 calories. So at 3,800 calories, I'm still going to be able to lose weight while consuming 2 liters of Dr. Thunder a day, 500 calories in the form of honey buns during the night. We're going to be eating all the normal foods. So I'm still going to be consuming ice cream. I'm going to be eating the stuff that my wife usually makes, which is a lot of chicken and white rice, beef and white rice. I eat a lot of ramen noodles just as snacks. I found a Boston Market super processed TV dinner. It's like $3 at Walmart. It's got a chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes in it. It's basically prison food, and as strange as this may sound to some of you, there are days that I really miss the prison food. My body seems to operate amazingly on processed foods. I know a lot of people seem to think that processed foods are bad for you. I still do not understand any of this. I've got another carnivore back in my comments again. I wish this guy would go away. I don't know why he's still watching me. Obviously because he has something to learn from me. That's the reason. He's wrong in all of his opinions, and so he watches me so that he can learn. And he was rattling on about some isotope in brain cancer. I don't care about brain cancer. I don't care about longevity. I don't care about diabetes. I don't care about any of these things. I am going to live my life up right now today, enjoying my body and abusing my body and having fun with my body and having fun with my car and all the other things that I do, and I don't care about the long-term side effects. So every time you guys go, oh, but what about this, Mike? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not taking all of these other drugs and supplements, trying or changing my diet or changing my lifestyle to try to get to 70 or 80 or 90. I don't give a shit. It's totally irrelevant. So I'm going to be cutting on a massive amount of calories, and then when I stop losing weight, which could be now, honestly, then we'll just keep dialing the calories back. But every time we dial the calories back, the types of food is not going to change. So I'm still going to drink 2 liters of Dr. Pepper a day, or Dr. Thunder a day. I'm still going to have some amount of honey buns, oatmeal. I usually eat a lot of oatmeal when I'm cutting. Ice cream is still going to be in the diet. So probably some buttered pound cake is still going to be in the diet. Lots of TV dinners, Jimmy Dean sausage bowls, the Boston Market chicken fried steak with mashed potatoes. All of these things are going to stay in the diet. Okay, the types of foods that I'm eating are not going to change. I'm not suddenly going to eat a bunch of grains and vegetables and bullshit. I'm going to eat the exact same foods that I was eating when I was bulking. Now here's the catch, guys. This is the hard part. Okay, try to wrap your heads around this. All I'm going to do is eat less of them. You see how that works? So ice cream, all the things I just mentioned, I'm going to keep eating all of those things, except the portions are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until I get to six-pack abs walking around without flexing. That's all I have to do. That's all I have to do to get my calories. I have already broken down what it would look like if I was to actually get down to like something crazy, like 2,500 calories a day. I think I would die. I don't think there's any way I could survive on 2,500. Damn, sorry about that. I rambled so long. I rambled past my 30-minute max video recording. Anyway, this is a very uninspired video. This is what you get first thing in the morning. I pinned my trend late today, so I have quite a few topics that I'm going to discuss. You'll probably notice that as the videos proceed through the day, I become more and more alive. That's because the trend's coming up in my system. So anyway, what I was saying is I've already done the calculations. If I was to need to get down to 2,500 calories a day, I still have a pathway to eat, you know, at least at a bare minimum, keep the Dr. Thunder / Dr. Pepper in the diet. That is the thing, that's the hill that I'm going to die on. And I'm going to explain in my next video about controlling blood sugar, why it is that absolutely, I mean, if I got into a survival situation and I could only have two things, you know, if you said, okay, you got to go live in, you got to go to jail and you're gonna be locked up in county jail for 30 days and you can only have two items from the grocery store. You know what those two items would be? Two items. It's all you get for 30 fucking days, two items. If I was going to be locked into a jail cell with as much of two items as I wanted for 30 days, the only two items I would take with me are Jack Link's peppered beef jerky and Dr. Pepper. So for all you guys, oh, you have to have all this fat. I would go to prison for 30 consecutive days and I would have nothing in my cell except Jack Link's peppered beef jerky and as much Dr. Pepper, Dr. Thunder, Coke, wouldn't even matter as I could drink. Those are the two things I would take and I would be perfectly fine for 30 consecutive days without a doubt. So I'm always going to have soda in my diet. It is never coming out until I am dead, buried in the ground. I cannot live without it. So to the enhanced carnivore who said that I couldn't go without, you know what? In fact, to his point, he said, you try to go 3 days, bro, without drinking any Dr. Pepper. You couldn't do it. When I went to prison, this is something I didn't mention in my prison video series. When I went to prison, because I had a child, when I went to prison and my ex-wife, who got on the stand and told all those lies that we talked about that I refuted in my testimony, she still had our son, and so she was still awarded child support because I was locked up and not able to support them. And in Washington State, if you owe child support money and someone puts money on your books so that you can buy commissary, they will take all of it. So when I first got to prison, you know, all the guys had all this food. They were buying all these snacks and things on the commissary. You know, you could get radios, you could get all of these things on commissary to make your time there a little bit easier. My dad put like $200 in my books and I got my receipt and I had like $15 because child support took 95% of it. So there was a catch that you could get, that you could, if you were indigent, if you were considered indigent in prison, then child support couldn't take any of your money. But indigent meant that you could not have more than $10 per week. So the entire 2 years that I was in prison, I had to sustain myself on no more than $10 a week of commissary. That had to pay for all my shampoo, toothpaste, any food that I ate that didn't come from the mess hall, anything extra that I wanted to have as far as food, snacks, or cosmetics. I had to be able to afford for that $10 a day. Now, I admittedly I did some gambling on the side to sustain my needs, but basically I placed a $10 a week commissary ticket. So what I did when I was locked up in prison and I had a minimum of $10 that I could spend on foods, every single month I got a case of whatever it was. It was some no-name cola, right? It was it wasn't RC cola. It was just some generic cola, some generic Coke. So basically, I had my commissary order dialed in to where I could still, even in prison, on only $10 a day, having to scrape and stretch to the maximum, I was still able to have 1 soda per day. That was the highlight of my day. Every day when I was locked up in prison, I had this big cup and I would go get ice and I would crack open my soda and I would pour it over the ice and I would sit on my rack and I would watch the Vampire Diaries that was out at that period of time. And, you know, we had limited options of what we could watch. We weren't allowed to have any, like, sports channels. This is men's prison, so you can't get ESPN and shit like that. So I had a major... I've been locked up for 2 years, you know what I mean? So Nina Dobrev from the Vampire Diaries was like my far and away girlfriend. I had a massive love affair for Nina Dobrev. And so every single night, I think, it was on, whenever it was on, I was laying in my rack drinking my 1 soda for the day and watching the Vampire Diaries and enjoying every single sip. It was so hard to only have 1. But even in that condition, that's what I spent. And it was the most expensive item, you know, on the list. It seriously affected my ability to buy other things, but I was not going to go without that 1 soda a day. So there's an actual living, breathing experience of what I'm saying. If you lock me back in prison and I can only have 2 things, it's beef jerky and soda all day long, without a doubt, without a question. That's just the way it would be. So, week 1 into my cut, my strength is not doing good, although it was better yesterday now that I cranked my calories back up to a reasonable amount. I am losing weight. My midsection is looking better. I don't know if it's affected my fat face at all yet enough for you guys. You know, my estrogen's coming down too, so we should start to see some leaning of the face in short order. I don't know when it comes to facial fat and facial bloat. I would think that the most of the bloat is from the high estrogen. Surely when the estrogen is down, which it should be getting close, we will see a lot less of the moon face. I can't tell in the camera now. You guys who obsess over this will have to tell me if I have lost any facial bloat over the course of the last week. I guess I'll save reporting on my estrogen till another video too. So this has gone on way too long. Rambling nonsense first thing in the morning. This is the stage my cut is in. Maybe the rambling is indicative of the fact that I'm not getting enough calories and my brain is not functioning on all cylinders. But we are making progress. That actually is probably going to happen. These videos are probably going to get pretty unfortunate the deeper I get into a calorie deficit. My wife, I don't think, is looking forward to this. It's been a really long time since I cut, and cutting on trend, which again is another video coming up. I'm going to be talking about my trenbolone dose and why what I'm doing with that. It's gonna be rough around here for sure. So as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.